Welcome to the Pirate Broadcast, where we interview interesting people doing interesting things, where you can expand your connections, your community. Kindness is cool and smiles are free. And let's get this party started. And it's another beautiful day for the Pirate Broadcast, and we are here today, and we're going to be talking to interesting people doing interesting things and sharing a little bit of the story and the backstories about how they arrived at where they are today. And also, I just want to let you know that you can subscribe to the channel on YouTube, Periscope, and Facebook and LinkedIn. And if you're not connected with the pirate community, get connected with the pirate community, because it's a lot of like-minded individuals that are working together to increase a little bit of kindness around the world. Kindness is cool and smiles are free. And today we have Michael in the room. He's going to be talking a little bit about his journey, about getting struck with lightning and exercising and a few Ironman. I think you started late, Michael, so I want to get into that story a little bit. But I want you to remember, everyone, that if you're not connected with Michael, reach out to him and tell him Russ sent you, and you're part of the pirate community and you wanted to connect and engage. But welcome to the Pirate Broadcast. You are now a pirate, Michael.
Thank you. I'm honored. How are you?
Oh, I'm the one that's honored. Thank you for showing up and being here and being present. Sure. And also, sharing your story today. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah. It's been an interesting kind of journey. I think so. My professional role is that of an unstucker. People come to me because they get unstuck in terms of, what do I do next with my life? How do I manage my day? How do I set goals? How do I communicate better? Those kinds of things. But my life itself has been sort of an interesting kind of odyssey. When we've all kind of been dealing with the new normal, and this new normal has now gotten kind of normal. No, this is not new anymore.
It's not that new anymore.
No. It's just kind of normal.
Well, let's take it back, because the Unstucker has a story behind it, and I know that there's probably some history in there. And also, I want to dive into the fact that you got struck by lightning and survived. We were talking before the show, and I want to dive into that story a little bit more and talk about circumstances and what the outcome was of that.
Sure. So when I had a business for 40 years now, and I'm a management consultant and executive coach, and people would ask me, what do you do? And I would tell them, they said, man, I'm actually like an unstucker. I get, just people unstuck, and that's kind of stuck, for lack of a better word. And so I spend a lot of time what is it that keeps people from moving forward in their lives? And so I have when I'm not doing this, we're all doing something when we're not doing what we do during the day. Sure. And I'm an endurance athlete, so I have a athletic background. I was a high school and collegiate wrestler. And after college, there's really nothing you can do with that sport. And I'm also kind of a little tiny guy, so there's really not much I could do. So I became a runner. And in the mid 80s, triathlons had sort of begun to spread. They started in the 70s in California. And so they created shorter distances. I'd heard of Ironman, but there was no way I was going to do that, because those people were completely out of their minds. So that was just never. And plus, it's just an insane event that you do 140.6 miles and you have up to 17 hours. Like, who would do that? Like, you just have to have something wrong with you. So the shorter distances, though, Olympic distances, I got involved in those. And I did those in the mid 80s, but there weren't a lot of races and they kind of stopped. So after about 5 or 6 years, I sort of said goodbye to that part of my sort of athletic career. Went back to running, worked out to marathons. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, my wife is from Albany, New York, and in the summers, she and her family had a farmhouse near Lake Placid, New York, in the Adirondacks. So I meet my wife, I go to the Adirondacks, I fall in love with the Adirondacks, and about 20 years ago, we bought a house. Meanwhile, Ironman is expanding. I'm not doing Ironman. I'm not even doing triathlons anymore. But now I'm in the community, so I'll volunteer. No, so you know one of the things, and so volunteered for the people that are on the bike course. It's a 112-mile bike course, 256-mile loops they call it. And
Uh-huh.
what you do when you're a volunteer is at the end of the race, you go into town to watch the finishers, because these are people that they don't look like your prototype of an athlete. These are people that you saw walking down Main Street. You weren't paying any attention to them. And these people are finishing this thing. And
Yeah.
it was absolutely just it was spellbinding. It was amazing. And I'm not the kind of person that likes to watch. I like parades. Like, I don't like to watch. And I looked at this thing and I said, I'm doing this. I have no idea what I was talking about. I'm doing this thing. So this is 2005. I'm 55 years old, which is that's kind of silly to be
It's the new
starting.
30. It's the new
Yeah.
30.
And yeah. Most people they long ago wound up their athletic career. They're not launching it.
Yeah.
The lake in Lake Placid, there's two lakes in Lake Placid proper, and then there's another lake, Mirror Lake. That's where the swim is, and it's a 2.4-mile swim, and it's two 1.2-mile rectangular, what they call loops. So I was a water safety instructor, and I'd been a swimmer and everything. So I thought, well, I'm really not in the kind of shape I'm going to need to be in, but I can at least go out for like a loop, which is 1.2 miles. I can go do that.
Yeah.
So this is in August of 2005. It's kind of an overcast day, not a good beach day or anything. So and it's I put on my wetsuit and out I go. I'm in the water, and and I'm swimming and I'm wet. Obviously, and then I notice I'm getting wetter. And I look up and it's raining. I'm like, well, I don't
Oh.
care. It's raining, and I'm in the,
You're in the water. You got a
I'm in the
wetsuit. It's
water
okay.
in wetsuits. What's a big deal? And then I notice I'm getting really wet. It's now pouring. Like I'm like in the middle of the lake, like in the middle of nowhere. And I can see off where the town is. People are kind of scurrying to get under cover. And I'm like, I don't care. Well, as I look up to straight ahead of me, coming over a mountain range is this dark cloud, and it's moving rather rapidly. And
Wow.
so I looked at that and I said, that's not a good idea. I think maybe this is about time that we need to just sort of cut this thing off. I look to the right at the end of the lake. I see lightning hit the lake. I said, we got to go right now. I'm probably not more than about a minute or so into my sort of retreat out of the lake. I hear lightning a second time. I feel my right calf knot up and right through the top of my head. I said, you just got hit. Lightning just hit the lake and went through you. Now, I was a water safety instructor, and one of the things that you're taught to do is deal with people when they begin to panic, never thinking you're the one that's going to have to be dealing with the panic.
That's the
So
important self-talk you have to go through.
big, big time self-talk. So I said, so the
Yeah.
one thing I knew is do not panic. Now this is kind of panicky situation. This is not
Yeah.
a good situation. And I don't have, one of the reasons we get stuck a lot of times is because something hits us, we don't have a model. And so we go
Yeah.
into a reactive kind of mode. So I said, okay, let's come up with a plan. We got to come up with a plan really fast. I said, okay, here's the plan. So I could still swim. My calf was sore, but I was okay. And so I'm going to swim, stop, and scream at the top of my lungs for somebody to come get me. Swim, scream, swim, scream, scream. One of three things going to happen. Either I'm going to get to shore, somebody's going to come get me, or I'm going to get hit again. And I can't think of many other options that I can go with. And I don't have a lot of time anyway. So I said, okay, we're just going to see what happens. So off I go. Unbeknownst to me, now I'm the only knucklehead in the lake, because another thing, by the way, that you learn as a water safety instructor, you don't go into the water by yourself. But that's a story for another day. But
Yeah.
obviously, I wasn't practicing what I had preached. Somebody was in a metal rowboat, had the sense to get out of the lake and had called 911. I don't know this yet. There was a boat rental place, and two young ladies are taking the kayaks and the canoes out of the water because it's in kind of rough water, among other things. And they hear me. Off they come in two plastic two-man kayaks. They get to me rather quickly. Are you okay? Well, I'd prefer to get out of here. Into the kayak I go. We get to shore. I call my wife. We couldn't find you. Well, that got hit by lightning. Are you okay? I think so. So they come over. I go in to change. What do you want to do? I'm hungry. I have no idea what that means. I don't know if getting hit by lightning works up an appetite. I don't want to find out. I don't know. It was just okay. I just really hungry all of a sudden. And so
I feel like some hot sauce.
I feel like so I come out of the hotel where I had changed. They have not seen me get out. They're looking for me. The lake is surrounded.
Oh,
EMTs, a fire truck. There's a crowd. The cops are there. I have to go over to one of them, tap them on the shoulder, and say, everybody go home.
what are
Now,
you looking for?
because here I am. Everybody go home. Now, not much happens in Lake Placid. The next morning, I am like 2-inch headlines in the paper. Man zapped in lake, rescued before, something like that. So for the next week, I'm now known as Lightning Man. Oh, you're Lightning Man. No, I'm not Lightning Man. I'm just like a regular guy that get hit by lightning. So I thought about that, and I thought, there's lessons here. There better be. You got out of this thing,
Yeah.
and I thought about this, about like, how does this apply to like what happens to all of us? So, and if you think about what's happening right now, change can happen in an instant. So that stuff comes, it was an overcast day, but no, not all of a sudden that storm came in 10 minutes. That storm was right on top of me. Nobody had planned a year ago for what life's going to look like right now. So,
Right.
what do you do when change comes suddenly? Well, the first thing you do is you come up with a plan. And so people's ability to like balance this thing and deal with it in their lives have had a lot to do with where their lives when it started. So for example, I'm in my home office. I have had an office in my home for 40 years. So to work out of your home was like, oh, like yesterday? Like that was
Yeah.
not a major adjustment. Now, what was a major adjustment? Well, I'm a face-to-face kind of guy. I
Yeah.
go see my clients. So what did I learn? I learned this. I learned Zoom. I learned what we're doing. And why did I learn it? Because I was in Rome, and that's what the Romans were doing, and that's what I need to learn how to do. So one's ability to adapt and adjust is one of the most important parts of getting and staying unstuck. So basically, I said, okay, so here's my plan. The other thing I did was this: I didn't have a lot of time to focus on what if the plan didn't work. A lot of
Yeah.
times
You just dive right in and you have to get on it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times what happens is that people will come up with a plan and say, "What if this doesn't work?" Well, why don't you just try it, and then we'll see. We spend so much time in the future making up about what's going to happen if something doesn't happen. We just go into this sort of paralysis by analysis and think ourselves
Yeah.
into a stupor.
Yeah.
And so the other thing that I go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, we know what happens when you do nothing, right?
Yes. Yes. The decision to do nothing is stinks for this reason. The
Yeah.
decision to do nothing, unfortunately, is not a decision to do nothing. The decision to do nothing is to passively let things get worse,
Yeah.
because the natural order of the universe is deterioration. If I put a
Mm-hmm.
piece of metal out in the backyard and I don't do anything to it, it'll
It's gonna
rust.
rust.
But I didn't touch it. But if I have my arm in a cast because I broke it, when it comes out, it's going to atrophy. I didn't do
Yeah.
anything. I know it got worse. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, you can't not participate in your own life. It's not an option. I just don't want to do today. Well, then today's going to do you. So because
Yeah.
today's going to happen with or without you. So this whole thing that's happened in the culture is happening with or without us. Some people have decided to dive right in and say, "Wow, what can I learn from this? What is here? What new skills can I learn? What new technology? What can I learn? What new creativity can I do?" And other people are just saying, "I'm just going to go a ball up in a wad and go in a corner and hide." Well, okay, well, fine. Tell me how that works for you. Like I didn't have the option in the water. I really didn't have it. The last thing I figured out was that this change happens suddenly, that you have to have a plan, is that you have to ask for help. I'm not trying to get out of that thing by myself. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know much of significance that happens in our lives without other people.
That's say that again,
You know,
because I want to make sure that people understand this,
I
because
don't know much of significance that happens in our lives without other people.
and that is so true. That is so impactful. And being a coach and somebody that helps executives get unstuck,
Mhm.
I think there's a lot of relationship with how you can help people build teams around them. You know, build a support system, have
Yes,
mentors, have
yes.
coaches, have somebody that's going to call you out on your
Mhm.
bad days as well as your good days.
Right, and
You
and
know,
and also being willing to being willing to acknowledge the obvious, which is I don't know how. Like I don't know what to do. The companies that have been really successful with this. My client companies, they all got together and said, "What do we do? We don't know what to do. You know, we've never been through this before. Why would we expect to know? You know, there was no way when I got in that water that I was going to try to figure that out all by myself. Like that wasn't going to happen. You know,
right?
and you know, the interesting thing from that is that after that experience, so I do the race. I have an
Mhm.
it was a magical day. Oh my gosh, it was just one of the most amazing days of my life. The finish line, the last 100 yards, is magic.
Mm.
It's take your breath away magic. And so they have a
How long
saying in
did you train for that first
the
event?
training for that for my first one, the training for that was probably from November to July. That was my very first one, and I didn't really. I mean, if there had been a fourth discipline called rehab, I would have killed it because I was injuring body parts I didn't know existed because I didn't know how to train. I finally got a coach 10 weeks before the race. And 10
Mm.
weeks before the race, I had never ridden a bike more than 35 miles in my entire life, even
Oh,
though in 10 weeks I was going to have to ride a bike 112 miles after swimming 2.4 miles, but before running a 26.2-mile marathon. So I really needed some help. It's amazing what you can do when you don't know what you can't do.
yeah.
I mean, when this thing was over, so I had created this little plan in my head. I'm going to do an Olympic distance race, which is a 1.5 kilometer swim, a 40-kilometer bike, and then a 10-kilometer run. Then I'm going to do a half Ironman, which is 73. It's a 70.3, just half the distance. And then I'm going to do a full, this is insane. You don't do this. You don't just jump into this thing and do that. Not at 50, at 56. That's crazy. So I said to my coach, "What made you think I could finish this?" She said, "I had no idea, but you thought you could. Who was I to tell you what you couldn't do?"
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just
The
amazing.
bike doesn't know your age.
Exactly.
The
Like
water doesn't know your age.
you got that right. And you know, most of the time I don't know my age because the number now. I was so excited for this year because I had done what's called age up and I was the baby in the 70 to 74 age group. And I was so stoked for this thing. I said, I'm gonna make noise because I discovered by accident. About 3 years ago that I'm actually a competitor now and not a participant. I didn't know that until I started finding out where I was finishing in my age
Oh,
group.
wow.
And that was by
What's
accident.
the difference? What's the difference?
Well, a competitor is it's somebody that's actually going to podium, you know, be one of the top five finishers in your age group. So,
Oh, I see.
you know, I've trained. So,
Because
a
your
younger
time and everything that goes into it?
part, yes, yes.
Right.
You just finish faster in your age group than you would. So I just didn't. I just wanted to, you know, finish in an upright position with a pulse was my goal. You know, leading up to all these. I mean, I just wanted to be alive. I mean,
No
you know,
lightning.
they have a saying. You know what you call the person that finishes last in Ironman. That's you know, if it's a pass fail course. So you
Oh,
finish,
man.
you're in. Yeah. So
That's
so that was
fantastic.
it, you know. And there was one more lesson about getting unstuck that awaited me that I could not have anticipated. So 2006, I looked at this thing and I said, "Oh, that was way too cool for one and done." They have a saying, "You either do one or you are one." You know, well,
Yeah.
I'm signing up again. It was 2008. It's going to be the 10th anniversary. I'm like, this is going to be really cool. Get up in the morning and the weather does not look good. But you know, the weather changes up there all the time. It's the mountains.
Sure.
So, you know, I'm like, the 2 years before I'd freaked out because it was raining in the morning. I came out of the water. It was a beautiful day and I wasted energy. I'm like, oh, it's good. I get in the water. It's over. It's like a shower. It's like showers during the
Yeah.
day. You know, no lightning on this day. You know, it's a shower. Get out of the water, and it is like how when it's raining so hard you have to pull your car off to the side of the road. It's
Yeah.
like that.
Uh,
I get out of the water. I get on my bike. Within like within like 5 minutes, I am soaked to the bone and it is pouring. And I'm looking, and there are certain points on the course where you're at a high elevation. You can see around you. There's nothing but like clouds and rain everywhere as far as the eye can see. It's the most miserable day of my life. I get into this thing and I'm soaked to the bone, but that's okay because it's 60 degrees and I'm freezing. I'm a skinny guy and I'm burning all these calories to stay alive, just to stay afloat. And I'm getting slower and slower. The slower I go, the longer I'm out, the longer I'm more tired I
Yeah.
beat the cut. They have cutoffs for this thing. You have until 9:20 to get out of the swim. You have until 12:30 to do 1:30 to do the first loop of the bike, 5:30 to do the second one, 9:30 to do the first marathon, and then 12 o'clock to do the whole thing. If you miss these cutoffs, they take you out of the race. You're done. You're disqualified.
Mm.
I barely make the cutoff for the bike. It's just not going to stop raining. It's raining I'm like, it's going to rain for the rest of my life. I start on the run, and I'd actually raced in the rain before, and I'm like, well, this isn't so bad. For the first hour or so, I hit a wall, and like I can't. I cover like 7 miles in like 2 hours. I'm toast.
Yeah.
I go back to I come in, and you can actually you have what's called special needs bag. You can get dry clothes and stuff. You just put that stuff there. I put on a pair of like dry socks, like that helps because they're soaked in 2 minutes anyway, but it made me feel good for 30 seconds. I get this on. My wife is there. I said to her, I don't know if I'm going to finish, but I'm not going to quit. So here we go. And then it starts. I'm on the course. It's about 10:30. I've got about 7 or 8 miles to go. I'm walking. It's over, and it's amazing how these things will happen in your life when you're stuck. It's a confluence of events that will happen that will suddenly propel you. So this is what happened to me. There is a trailing vehicle that picks up stragglers. I'd heard about it, but I had never seen it. The course is what they call an out and back. You go out, you turn around, you come back toward town. As I'm
Uh-huh.
coming back, I see this thing coming out. And I go from getting really tired and really depressed to getting really annoyed. And I said, are you kidding me? Like, seriously? Like, I've been out here all this time and that's going to happen? Like, I don't think so.
I
Here
don't
we
think so.
go. Back to the same thing that happened in the water. I said, you got to have a plan. This pity party's got to stop because you already came up with what's not going to happen. So a lot of
Yeah.
people entered this thing right now and they said, okay, my business is not going to go under. I am going to figure out a way to balance kids and work and Zoom and I'm going to figure this out. And they took all their energies towards solution.
Yeah.
When you do that, that's one of the most effective ways that you could, when you don't dwell on the way things were and you focus, whenever you focus on what's not there, it doesn't change what's not there because it's not there. It just doesn't allow you to see what is there. I said, man, you better get creative in a hurry. The rain had stopped. The stars were out. I'm still wearing like a little raincoat because I think it's going to rain forever because I'm delusional by now. I'm like out of my mind. And I already had, by the way, hallucinated once. I had seen a concrete bunker in the middle of the road. And because I found out later, not only had I become hypothermic, I was also hypoglycemic because my
Oh
blood sugar
man.
dropped so bad. Now, here I go in my head. And again, this is what we do when we're stuck. We do a little survey internally when we're stuck and we say, okay, where am I stuck? And let's focus on that. I said, okay, you need a plan. Here's the plan. You see those two people in front of you? We're going to go get them. I took my raincoat off. I threw it into the bushes. I said, let's go. Now I'm not moving yet, but I'm starting to. While this is going on, they put signs out for people to encourage them. I read a sign. The sign says, the race is always on a Sunday. The sign says, don't make a decision today you'll regret on Monday. In other words, Vince Lombardi, the coach of the Green Bay Packers, once said, fatigue makes cowards of us all.
Yeah.
When you are rested and when you feel better, you're going to think differently. So don't react. Come up with a plan. That's the key to staying unstuck. Come up with a plan. Don't react. React is a lower brain function. So I'm thinking of that. My coach, who I loved my coach. I've coached myself for years now, but at the time she was still my coach. She was not. She was a wonderful coach, not real touchy feely though. So I had, among other things, I had tendonitis 6 weeks before the race, so I really couldn't train all that much. But that's okay because now I'm 58. I can just kind of just cruise on in for something like this. I don't really have to be in my top shape for this. I said to her, "Do you think I can finish?" And I thought I'm going to get this really sort of memorable pep talk. She simply said, "If you want to finish, you will." I thought, whoa, that's okay. That was so that was so helpful because it was so simple. There were no moving parts to that message. If you want
No.
to finish, you will.
If you
So
want to finish,
often,
you will.
yeah, so often what happens when people are stuck, I say to them, what's your goal? Oftentimes we'll say, if somebody says to me, I don't think this is going to work, then I'll say to them, well, it probably won't. Why? Well,
Yeah.
because you just set a goal for it not to work. I mean, your
Yeah.
brain's like, I don't care what you tell me to do. So if you want to finish, you will. I'm like, oh, I want to. And then the last thing that happened, and this really kind of pushed me over the edge. We had been to a church service at an Episcopalian church, and the priest was also an Ironman. He said, some good things going to happen to you tomorrow, but they're not going to last. I thought, oh, that's inspirational. Thank you. I'm going to have to take that with me. I thank you very much for that. And he said, then he stopped and he said, but some bad things going to happen, and they're not going to last either. And I hung on to that for dear life. That's so
Mm.
important when we're in a dilemma and we don't know what to do next to say, this is going to pass. This is
Yeah.
going to pass. Energy follows attention. How much attention do I want to spend on this? Now I'm feeling emboldened all of a sudden. My body's shot, but my mind is like it's perking right now. So here I
Mhm.
go. There were those two people. I said, let's go get them. We're not moving nuts yet, but I caught them. 5 in front of them. Now I'm moving with about, probably 30, 35 people I passed and finished with about 14 minutes to go, but I finished. And that remains probably in many ways, that's the race I'm proudest of.
Yeah.
I mean, I finished much faster in other races, but that was such a special thing because what happens is when you face a dilemma, when you're really stuck and you go deep inside of yourself, you own something. Like
Yeah.
you get something that you get to keep forever now. That belongs to you. You know, when I get stuck, I'm like, stuck. I ain't stuck. Let me tell you, stuck, man. This is just, a lot of things that happen now, they're just kind of I need to take a little detour. I'm like, I've been stuck. Like that was bad. That was bad.
Yeah. We have this idea that things aren't temporary, and they're all temporary.
They are. They are.
And there's been times where, in fact, I have a bike hanging on my wall in my room here, and I've had this bike since I think I bought it in 1976.
Wow.
And I've been on that bike thousands of miles,
Mm-hmm.
and there are times where you're just looking at the next telephone pole. If I can get to the next
Mm-hmm.
telephone pole,
Yes.
I'll be okay. If I
Yeah.
can get to the next telephone pole, I'll be okay. I'll
Right.
get to the
Yes.
next telephone pole. And
Yes.
that's kind of how you have to, when things are tough and things are challenging in your life, you just have to set a small, tiny, incremental goal
Absolutely.
to get unstuck.
Yeah. You eat the elephant one bite at a time.
Well, because like you said, like the sermon, bad things are going to happen and they're temporary.
Yeah.
Just like good things are going to happen and
Yes.
they're temporary.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a sign in my office. It's by Dane Rauschenberg. And the sign reads, someday I will no longer be able to do this. Today is not that day.
Mm.
Dane Rauschenberg ran 52 marathons in 52 weeks. So, I mean, I just, when you get stuck, what you do is you go, but not today.
Not today.
Not today. Not today. Is it a little tough? Yeah, it's tough.
Sure.
The first line of Scott Pett's book, The Road Less Traveled, is life is hard, but it doesn't mean life's not amazing. It doesn't mean that life's not incredible.
Life
It's
is
hard.
amazing.
It is
Life is
amazing. So
incredible.
when you get stuck, it's like, okay, what's the next thing here? Like what is the what is the meaning I want to give to this? I mean, what is the
Yeah.
meaning that I want to give to this? What is it that I want to do? I will tell you what happens is when you go through these areas of extreme challenge, my ability to focus is like razor sharp. Like I can lock in like nobody's business. And I would not have had that without this incredible gift. What Ironman's given to me has just been amazing. What I'm able to do. The reason I even got started, besides the fact that I was just excited by it, is my goal in my work is to get people to stretch, to go outside of places that they're uncomfortable. And what happens developmentally as we age is we naturally become more risk averse
Yeah.
because we've experienced pain and loss, and
Yeah.
we're scared, and we don't want to hurt, and we don't want things to happen to us.
Well, we believe the illusion that safety is there and there's
Yeah.
security in place.
Right. Yeah. Certainty is one of our, one of our favorite lies that we tell ourselves. It's like you can predict things. Like, you ever heard the phrase, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plan.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's kind of look at that and say, um, when you're able to like take these events that happen to you, you put that in the bank. I mean, there's so much now that people can look back over the last 6 months and say to themselves, look what I did. Like I did
Yeah.
it. Like I did it. Like I can do this. Like we're
And
making
you can, and once you know that you can go beyond what you thought you could do,
right.
everything changes
Which is only always, which is
every day,
you can only always go past, you're right.
every day.
Yeah. Like,
And that's why I believe that, and you probably share this with your clients, is that, you know, progress every day. You
mhm,
look back, and if you make progress every single day, just like exercise, if you
yes,
make progress every day, when you look back, you'll be surprised how far you've arrived, and
yes.
how far you've gotten. And it's just like, we have to do that in business. We have to do that in life. We have to do it with our family and everything else that goes along with that.
Yeah. It goes back to what I was saying about Scott Peck and the road less traveled. The first line is life is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, okay. So you get up, I get up every day and I say, I think the decision to actually think this way, I, I regard it as in many ways kind of a selfish decision. Like I'm in my head all day. Like everywhere I go, there I am. I don't
Uh-huh.
want to hang around with a miserable guy. I mean, I don't want to hang around somebody that's not in a good mood. I mean, I just don't want to do that because he
No.
I'm with him all day, and I would rather be hanging out with somebody that's really like looking at the day and having a good day. And it's a conscious decision that you make to
Yeah.
basically say, you know what, I'm going to focus on what's possible and doable today. I'm going to, I think if you wake up each morning and you have your health, I mean, basically you're healthy enough to just get through the day, and you have
Mhm.
at least one person you love that loves you, I think you're in the bonus round now. I think
Absolutely.
I think now it's just like now it's just found good stuff after that. And the reason I think that way is I've said to people, I will give you anything your heart desires, but you have to trade me one of those two. They're like, no, I'm not trading that. I'm like, that's because that's the deal. That's the deal.
Yeah.
So part of that getting and staying unstuck is to stay in the state of gratitude and thankfulness.
Oh, I love
Um,
that. I love
your
that.
brain, gratitude and thankfulness. And one of the things that, I mean, I really love the brain. I studied the brain a lot. Everybody has one. It's fun to know how it works because it kind of works the same for all of us. We have kind of, it's the same construction up there. It's the same
Yeah.
thing. And one of the things that they found out is that it is neurologically impossible to access a negative thought in a state of thankfulness and gratitude. It's like sneezing with your eyes open. You can't do it. You know,
Yeah.
so when I get stuck, I look around and I certainly need to see what is I need to work on. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that when you're stuck, you take this Pollyannish attitude that everything's going to be okay. I mean, you're going to have to many times make it okay, by
Yeah.
having a plan and getting help and being grateful and those kinds of things. But when that happens, you can look at this and say, okay, this is kind of like my life. This is like my life. I have some days. There are days when we're like awesome. We're like amazing. And other days we're just like, well, I made it through that,
I made
but
it
you hit
through
the
that
ground
day.
tomorrow, you got to do over.
Yeah. I just love the idea that, I wake up with gratitude and make it through the day. And if I
Yeah.
can make somebody,
Yes.
make a change in somebody's life is my greatest goal.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
Michael, this has been great. I know that we're wrapping up. I know I know there's a couple of people, Sarathi, Lori Knutson. We got Jimmy Clem in the room. I like this one. Pain is weakness leaving the body. I obviously have too much weakness.
Go get him, Jimmy. Go get him, Jimmy.
Yeah. And then good morning, Russ and Michael. Love the enthusiasm and energy.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yeah. Great.
And please show the bike, Russ. I'll have to share the bike. But, it's like Sarathi saying to you, these are people in the community that just inspire me to continue to go. And it is like a marathon with the Pirate Broadcast and bringing people on board and making sure that we have great conversations that inspire others.
Yeah.
And I know people can get a hold of you, Michael. I know you got a new website coming out. Let us know, share what that is.
So it's unstucker.com. And it'll be up complete later this week. But you can reach me right now. You can email me, Michael@unstucker.com. And of course I'm on LinkedIn. And you can find me there. And so love to hear from the other pirates out there.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here, Michael, and great stories. And we'll have to come back for another episode.
I'd love to. We'd love to. Great. Thank you so much.
When we start running again and continue our journey elsewhere.
Yeah. Hoping to be at that starting line in 2021. Yeah, man.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much.
Sure.
All right, everyone. Thank you. You know what I always say, kindness is cool, smiles are free, and you enjoy the day. Take care, everyone.
Okay, bye-bye.
Stick around, Michael. Thank you for joining the Pirate Broadcast. If you found this content valuable, please like, comment, and share it across your social media channels. I would love the opportunity to help others grow in their business. The Pirate Syndicate is a platform where you show up, we produce the show. It's that easy. If you want to be seen, be heard, and be talked about, join the Pirate Syndicate today.